Dane, how are you this morning, man?
Good, good. Ready for another great one today. We have a great guest coming on. Can't wait and watching some more stuff on Instagram and just motivates me to get out of bed.
Did it fire you up this morning to go do some
Oh
some
yeah,
workouts and
absolutely.
put that
Yeah,
put
I
those
think
bag of
so.
chips down? You know,
Well,
dude,
one step at a
it's
time. One step at a time.
let's not get crazy, right? I'm gonna do my workout as I reach for the Funyuns. No, dude, it is. You're definitely right. We're blessed. This past week has been a whirlwind
Yeah,
of blessings for us. We got to work with Kayla earlier this week, ultra marathoner. I'm still
yeah,
thinking about that 100-mile run, dude. I'm like, I could do a
yeah,
tenth of that over the course of a month, right? You
yeah.
know,
And
but
that's it's
100.
another level to aspire to.
That's
You know.
crazy, man. And that's where I think we are today, man. Speaking of other levels, we've been
Yeah,
really intrigued with spreading that message of taking care of your body along with
yeah,
the athletic side. There's a nutrition that we can't escape that. If you're gonna do right and really treat your body right and take care of it, you got to put good things in. So we
yeah,
came across this coach. She's way more than a coach. I mean, she's a broadcaster, sports analyst, has a great hockey podcast, but really has honed in on this sports nutrition. She has her own
yeah,
company called Eat Fitness, and it's as I started watching her, and you noticed it too. She really has a way of connecting with people and showing
yeah.
them this is what you need to do, and she doesn't pull any punches. Would you agree? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to the point, direct. Just there's no nonsense in it.
it's what you
There's no
need.
cut, but there's no cutting corners. So that's what's even better
Yeah,
about it.
all inspirational, and she practices what she preaches. So she doesn't just talk
Yeah,
about it; she
absolutely.
does it herself, and that's the kind of leader that you need. As you know, we're very big on strong female leadership. She
Yeah,
practices what she preached. She walks the walk and talks the talk. So we had to
yeah.
get her on the show. And let me quit fanboying out and get right down to it and bring on Coach Sarina Taylor. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm super excited.
Oh, thank
It's
you
an
for your
honor,
time.
Coach. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for what you're doing, like I said, with the brand,
Yeah,
promoting that athleticism,
yeah,
the female leadership we've talked about, and just your way that you're promoting that healthy lifestyle. We're very grateful to pick your brain. So I'm going to jump right into some questions, Coach. Taking the lead here on this, looking at what you've done and this Eat Fitness brand that you're creating. Everybody has that moment where it's like, okay, I'm going to get up and do this. Something's got to
yeah.
change. Take me back to that moment where you decided, whether it's like the lifestyle change of the fitness and or making this nutrition path. Where did all this begin for you, if you will?
Yeah.
I grew up an athlete my whole life. So I've never not had the discipline per se to be
Mhm.
active or whatever, but it's not easy. And I taught group fitness for a long time. I've been a certified personal trainer for 13 years. I've been through all the different types of fitness out there, and I've seen where the hiccup is for most people. And it's
Mhm.
typically nutrition. So a
Mm,
few years ago, I have several different nutrition certifications, and my favorite one is my sports coach nutrition certification because it teaches me how to fuel athletes. And I
Mhm.
thought this is genius because so many people work out super hard all day, 7 days a week, or whatever it happens to be, but they're not really hitting their goals because they're not fueling properly.
Yeah.
So you can work out every day or whatever it happens to be, but your workouts are really only about 10% of what you burn in a day. The biggest thing is getting that proper fuel in. So, kind of learning everything I've learned over the decade plus in fitness, I've seen that the biggest hangup for people is nutrition. So, I kind of wanted to find a way to marry the two of those things to be able to help people.
Mhm.
wow. It's spot on, man. Like me and Dan talked about this many times. It's like you do this great workout, and you just push hard. And as coach is saying, then you maybe don't eat right, and you kind of like you wash it all away, right, Dane?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what they say, you can't outrun a bad diet. Pretty much,
Yeah,
just
man.
from what I've heard, some of the stuff that I've heard. So, well, Coach, whenever you first start talking to a client or getting to know them, what is you start knowing their lifestyle, maybe what their workout routines have been, and once you get all that information in, what is something that you start directing them towards immediately whenever you
Mm.
want to start working with them?
So, the biggest thing I figure out is how much they've been eating because the
Uh-huh.
majority of people come to me and they're under eating. So
Mm.
I have a lot of
Really?
women that are eating between you would think it would be the opposite. You would think
Mhm.
people eat too much and they eat bad or whatever. But people will tell me like I eat really well. I'm like, that's probably not the problem. It's
Yeah.
might not be eating enough.
Yeah.
So I determine how much someone is eating, figure out how much they should be eating, and then I bridge the gap to get them there. So if you were only eating 1,000 calories a day and you should be eating 2,000, it's really difficult to make that jump. So you kind of want to slowly do what we call, I guess, a reverse diet and slowly build them back up, depending on the client. Some can get up there faster than others.
Yeah.
Essentially, you kind of have to figure out where they are and come up with a game plan to get them to where they need to be to establish a healthy metabolism again.
I'm 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 already, the wheels are turning. I'm already kind of making notes, and it's the reverse diet thing. I latched onto that. I can honestly say that's something new that I've never heard of before. Because usually it's like, oh yeah, I got to cut down my calories. I heard people talk about I'm at like 2,500 calories today, and they're kind of freaking out. And you're taking this reverse effect already, where it's like, no, maybe sometimes you're not eating enough to correlate with your workout. That's fascinating, Coach. Even already, just listening to the way you approach it, and when I've been watching you online, this influence and this kind of net that you're casting, no wonder it's so effective and it's working. I see some of your testimonials, even the stories you're putting up. The influence is definitely going far and wide outside of just local. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious too. I know you mentioned the discipline you've had. It grew up an athlete. You got a lot of disciplinary trait that you grew up with, and that's commendable. Maybe a couple people that helped you get going, set you on that path. And a lot of people say like family members, a lot of people say parents early on in your life. Who are maybe a couple, 2 or 3 of those people that molded you to have that discipline that you now have to do this,
That's an interesting question because it made me think about my high school gym and track teacher. And I haven't thought about her in this concept in a long time, but she approached me about joining the high school track team. And I was not really a distance person. I'm more of a short type of distance type of athlete, but I never loved it. I don't love running like some people do. But the discipline that we were taught growing up, I grew up in a really, really small town. So I'm from the Midwest in Canada, and there's nothing else to do in those towns.
Right.
So, I wanted to make sure that I, always had this discipline, and she just always really instilled that in me. And growing up, we didn't have anything else to do. And, when you're in a small town, you can't run around acting a fool because somebody will tell your parents.
Right.
So it's, you know what I mean? It's like, and my teachers taught my parents, you know what I'm saying? So you had to be strict and disciplined and kind of getting through that stuff. But watching my dad grow up my dad was the second youngest of 11 kids, and they didn't have running water. And, it's like they grew up on the farm, and to see that that was discipline. My grandma churned her own butter. My grandfather migrated from the Ukraine. So those people were not lazy, and it just kind of filters down into, my brother and I are both very disciplined people. We have a good work ethic. And I think that comes from, our ancestors.
Yeah. I'm before you take forward, Dan, because this influence, the family, kind of what you're doing, Coach, and that discipline from the start, it was kind of like bred into you, literally. Like you got this work ethos around you, this hard work, hardcore work ethic. So let me be real for a second, because I know you don't pull any punches. We now, as our kids are growing up, and our next generations, comfortable, the Fortnite generations, the Xbox generations, a lot of kids don't know, or even young working adults don't know what that struggle is like. So I could see, with all respect, it was born into you. Like even Dan and I talk about this, when you're looking at maybe these kind of younger generations who don't know what struggle is like. I know you can't maybe quantify it into 1 or 2 things, but what's the first thing you'd say to someone who doesn't have that discipline? What's that spark that you need to have to start discipline? You know what I mean?
100%. I know what you mean. People come to work with me and they're motivated and they're ready to go and kicking it for about 6 weeks. And then the motivation starts to fall away. Nobody can stay motivated forever. So you have to transition your motivation to discipline. So the way to do that is create habits. So I teach my clients while they're still motivated, hey, you have to create these habits. And creating habits takes a lot of energy, but the more you do it, the more it becomes a habit, the less energy it takes. So you don't think about it after a while. Like tracking your food. Tracking your food, when you first start tracking your food, can be very difficult because you don't know how to do it. It's annoying. You want to give up. But when you learn how to get really good at it, it just makes it a lot easier, and you don't think twice about it. So it doesn't take energy. Yeah. So it's all about creating the habits. Like like, are you frustrated with going to the gym, or are you frustrated like and have no motivation being in the gym? What is the
Yeah.
disconnect?
That's
And
the
just
problem.
making,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
making sure they understand, like, that's what it is. You got to figure out what it is so that you can create that discipline and create that habit.
That's
Mm.
fantastic. Dane, you kind of
Nice.
say this, Dane, that's so eloquent, coach, the way you're saying it. We're not near as like polished the way we say it, but it's almost like striking while the iron's hot. You're getting that motivation and that discipline at the same time. That way,
Yeah.
when the buzz wears off, the honeymoon phase wears off, you've established that ethos. That's awesome. Go ahead, Dane, because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. I
speechless
mean,
for
even to
change.
add on, even to add on to that, growing up playing sports, a lot of our coaches said 21 days makes a habit. I mean, you can get that discipline going, and then you're off and running, so to speak. And it's like you say, with tracking your calories and you're tracking your food, sooner or later just becomes something you do. So that's a great track to be on for any kind of client that you work with, or even disciplining yourself. So I mean, it's great that you bring that to people, and it's right in their face, instead of saying, well, if you just try this or try that. There's some of those things you tell them don't really hit, but if you put it to them right direct, then okay, a lot of people need that. They don't know they need that, but they do.
I
So,
think
so go ahead.
one of the things that really works well for me in that regard is, I mean, I called my company Eat Fitness because obviously
Mhm.
it's focused around food as fuel, but
Yeah.
Eat stands for educate and train. So I want
Oh,
to educate my clients as to why they're doing what they're doing, and then they have a purpose for doing it. Like, I remember being in high school taking chemistry. I'm like, literally, what is the purpose of educating me on chemistry? You know,
right.
but I understood
Yeah.
learning English. That makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
So I always function better off of knowing why I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Like working with my own coach, I go through different muscle building phases or fat loss phases, and I'm like, I know why I'm doing this. That's the
Yeah.
whole point, right? So that's what I try to instill in them too.
Yeah.
What's the
And,
reason? I like that.
and speaking of your brand, I mean, you're starting to grow and grow and get some, foothold on the industry. Going forward now, what does the next phase look like for Eat Fitness?
Honestly, I'm at a point right now where I don't really have any major plans to scale my business. My
Mhm.
goal is to find the right clients
Yeah.
that want to work with me and my company and that I want to work with.
Mhm.
So finding that good fit and getting the right clients is more important than growing and growing and growing and not being
Yeah.
present for my clients.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Kind of
Yeah.
fitting, like having them come to you. I like that, Dane. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And then not getting spread too thin. Absolutely.
Man, that's good. We're already, again, coach, I mean it when we say this. Me and Dane, we are talkers and we're professional talkers. We don't get speeches very often, but I'm making notes. I'm like, okay, so
Yeah.
okay, let them come to me. Eat Fitness, kind of like the discipline, strike while the iron's hot. Like, I'm taking mental stock of these things you're saying, where it's like, hey, you have to marry the motivation,
Yeah.
10% of the workout, 90% discipline, because it's the high. They always talk about that. There's a high when you're working out, you feel good. And then that other 23 hours of the day, you have to
Yeah.
really work at it. And that's the stuff, the mental grind that people need to hear. So I could
Yeah.
conclude the interview right now and already have learned a lot, but we're not done yet, coach. So I'm going to transition to some things that I guarantee you, in any media that you've done, this is something that you've never done before. If you've listened to any episodes, we do a thing called rapid fire, and we're proud of this because we have 5 questions that we're going to bet on what we think you're going to say. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Okay. So I think I made her speechless. You still there, coach?
Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are. Now, when you say rapid fire, do I have to go fast or can I have a
No,
second?
no,
No.
no. The brand segment is called rapid fire, and what it is you have 2 choices, and you can think about it, but you have to pick one or the other. Now, there's no wrong answer, but we have questions. We think we know what you're gonna say, and we'll tell you whoever's right. Like if I'm more right, Dane buys me lunch. If Dane's more right, I buy him lunch. It's kind of a little wager that we do. But no wrong answer. You can take a minute. It doesn't have to be instant, but you got to pick one or the other in these wacky, weird scenarios. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So for this segment, there's no such thing as reality. Time doesn't exist. You can go back in time, you can go in the future.
Yeah.
You could be a cartoon. Nothing's off the table for this. It's more just kind of like a Rorschach personality test. So here we go. Question number 1. They're doing an event, Eat Fitness. I know you said that you're not like intentionally doing this, but the brand continues to grow. They're going to have you be a part of the 2025 kind of like a Arnold Classic, the ladies version of the Arnold Classic. So you're going to be there, and they want you to do a relay race, like an old school, like they're going to take the 3-legged race, put on the old school like burlap sack and do a race. And your partner for this celebrity relay race, kind of for charity, you can choose to do this with Nunez or Ronda Rousey as your relay race partner. Who's going to be your partner for this relay race?
I'm picking Ronda Rousey. Plus, I feel like she's kind of closer to my height. And I wouldn't want somebody who's too short in a burlap sack with me.
I got you. I had Rousey as well, Dave. Did you have that one, Dan? So.
No, I had Nunez.
I love them both. They're both amazing. But it's, again, no wrong answer, just more personality test. So I'm up on you by one, Dan. Let's see if I can keep the streak going. You've been beating me a lot. So question 2, this goes against, again, this is fiction. This goes against everything you stand for, Coach, and I apologize for this. But they're going to out also at the 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Competition. They're adding an event. They're adding the French fry eating competition. Okay, check this out. So I know it goes against nutrition and all of that, but this is just for a moment. Calories don't count. And you get to pick a French fry eating partner. They put 10 pounds of French fries on the table, and you and this partner have to do this within 20 minutes. Your partner, love these ladies, you can choose Reba McEntire or Dolly Parton to be your French fry eating partner for this competition. Who are you going with?
First of all, there's nothing wrong with eating French fries. I had some last night. I'm not going to lie.
All right.
I'm not going to lie. Hands down, Reba.
Got you. Okay. I actually had Dolly, man, because I just felt like I was hearing this working 9 to 5. I just felt like this vibe
there you
going,
go.
So I had Dolly. What'd you have on that one, Dave?
I was going to say we're on the same wavelength. I thought that same thing with Dolly.
Yeah, I got it. That's okay. So again, love them both. No wrong answer. Sarina, I appreciate you being a good sport. Last one. They're going to do another. This is a flag football tournament. You're doing kind of like a seminar weekend. eFitness is there, teaching, live streaming, doing your thing. And they say, hey, we're going to do a game of flag football. And you can choose the cast of one of these 2 TV shows to be like your team. Like you're the quarterback, of course, and you can choose one of these 2 TV show casts to be your team for flag football. Okay. Your choices for your team, you can have the cast of Cobra Kai. Love that show. Or you can choose the cast of Fast and Furious to be your flag football team. Cobra Kai, Fast and Furious. Who's going to be your team?
Okay, I'm gonna need a second on that one.
You're good.
Last year, my husband and I broadcasted the USA Flag Football Championships that were held in Charlotte. Yeah, they were on the Olympic channel. So my husband did the play-by-play and I did the sideline stuff. And so that was really fun. But I'm thinking because it would depend. It kind of all depends on who you have as your quarterback.
You're the quarterback. So
Yeah.
You have to be the quarterback. Yeah.
I'm the quarterback?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going with Cobra Kai because I think they're a little slicker in their movements.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, like I think the Fast and Furious guys are a little they're bigger, but they're probably not as stealth-like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're telling me, because I actually had Fast and Furious. Dave, first of all, what'd you have on that name? Did you have Fast and Furious?
I had a Cobra Kai.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I beat you by 1. So you're telling me, though, what I was thinking, it's okay, again, no wrong answer. I was thinking you're going to have Dom right there running routes, and as he grabs the flag, he was going to say, I never knocked on nobody. Sorry, I'm just a Fast and Furious fan, so that's what was going on in my head. Anyway.
Well, I was thinking about all the young kids on Cobra Kai and how good they are at karate, so they probably can. But I guess it depends offense versus defense. I guess if it was my defense, I'd have to pick Fast and Furious.
Or like as he's pummeling them, saying, I don't got friends, I got family. All these one-liners we could be doing.
Hey, dude,
you know what I'm saying?
but you see wax on, wax off.
That's true. That's true.
It's going to win a football game.
I got you. You're definitely right. So
strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Ooh, okay. You're swaying me, Dane, but it's too late. You already got the question right, Dane. You got to rub it in. so Sarina, that's a little segment. I appreciate you being a good sport. That's rapid fire. Hopefully that's something you haven't had before in previous media. So thanks for being a good sport during that segment. Okay.
Of course, yeah, it's fun.
Then go ahead with the last piece.
On this last segment, Coach, we call it open mic. We open the floor up to our guests to maybe give some words of encouragement or some wisdom to that next generation coming up, or in your case, some of those people looking to change their lifestyle here. And also with your brand, what maybe, I guess this would be a 2-parter. I was going to see if you could talk about maybe to those who are wanting to chase their passion like you have, maybe a couple words to them to, get them kick started, and maybe maybe a couple of pointers for 1 or 2 pointers for some starters that are in their, infancy of fitness goals.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try to kind of answer both of those, I guess,
Mhm.
at the same time. For the first question, are you talking about people who want to get into what I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
just any kind of passion they're chasing, whether it be, the fitness industry or sport or anything like that.
I would say that you have to find out, kind of quadrant off different things
Mhm.
and figure out what you're good at, what you like to do, and what can kind of make you money, and put all of those together, because
Mhm.
you might like something, but you might not be good at it, or you might
Yeah.
be good at something, but you might not be passionate about it. So kind of figure out what is going to kind of marry all of those things together. And a lot of times it's not something you can really sit and think about. It has to come naturally. But think about the things that make the time go by fast. Think
Mm.
about what really fuels your fire. Do you like helping people? Or like, are you
Mm.
a healer? Or are you the type of person that likes to work with your hands because that passes the time better? Whatever it
Yeah.
happens to be. It's some people don't like working with other human beings, and that's totally fine. You just have to figure out what you're passionate about, and can you apply that to help other people?
Mm.
I like
That's
that. What fuels your fire? I made a note of
Yeah.
that too. That's really good. And that's really good. Sorry, but I like
you're
that.
good. It's so important to do that. It took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do. And probably, I think I was
Yeah.
maybe 33 or 34 at the time. I had like an existential crisis where I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I felt completely, I'm like, I want to work in fitness, but I don't think I can. And that was the
Yeah.
moral of my life the whole time. And I was like, this is crazy. I can do it. And then same thing with starting my own business. I told myself for years, I'm like, I could never do that. I don't want to do that. And then I realized it's very difficult to transition from being an employee to an entrepreneur. But
Yeah.
once you kind of get those in, I'm like, if I'm telling my clients to do X, Y, and Z to get their goals, I really need to follow suit with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Absolutely.
That was a big
And,
thing.
Powerful.
and I have another question for you real quick. Yeah, we talk to a lot of the, younger crowd. We do a lot of games and things for like the softball, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And their diets aren't the greatest because they think, I'm gonna be able to do this forever and never get injured. What would you say to some of those younger kids about starting their discipline as far as their diet goes? And what would be one of the best things with those transition years, some of those girls that are becoming women? What would be a pointer for them to get them kickstarted and getting a better diet?
Love
Yeah,
that.
it's a great question. I think a lot of times what happens is it's not generally, it doesn't matter how old they are, 14,
Mhm.
15, 40, 45, 50, 60. A lot of times it's not that people are belligerent, they just don't know what to do. They're uneducated.
Mhm.
So I have a client who's 17 years old, a male football player. So he's trying to put on some muscle. So if you have a goal like he does to put on muscle and weigh a certain amount by this weigh in and all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff, it gives you something to look forward to. So with young athletes, especially females, it doesn't matter what the scale says.
Yeah.
I love that.
Every body is different. Females go through different hormonal changes than men. So it's cyclical for women, and you're going to weigh different things on different days and
Yeah.
different times of the month and all that kind of stuff. But it's just about fueling with enough food, making sure that you're getting your nutrients in. So it's like, sit and have a look. You don't necessarily have to track your food at 14 years old as a
Yeah.
softball player, but it's about paying attention to what you're putting in your body to fuel it and making
Mm.
sure you're getting enough. Don't worry about the other girls that only eat one time a day and they're skinny and whatever, because what's going to happen when they get out of school is they're going to blow up because
Yeah.
they ruined their metabolisms when they were younger. So eat the food would be
I'm
my recommendation.
you said something literally, it's
Ah.
almost like we're on the same brainwave, and Dane probably knows where I'm going with this. When you said the scale doesn't matter, I have heard
Yeah.
this probably, unfortunately, thousands of times. I've heard
Yeah.
girls say it, guys say it, I'm trying to cut weight, I'm trying to cut weight, and they live their life and they're a slave to this scale, right? And you've
Yeah.
probably seen this as you work with people. I don't know if there's a number when you're working with your clients, you tell them maybe for the first couple weeks to stay away from the scale. Like, what's that mental thing? How do you approach that? You know?
It's actually the complete opposite. If I
Okay.
have a client that has a really, really bad relationship with the scale, I educate them on it. I generally have my clients, when they do their check-ins with me, they do their check-ins once a week. So they weigh themselves usually that morning and they fill out their check-in form. But if they're starting to get stressed out, I tell them to weigh themselves every single day so that
Okay.
they can notice, hey, one day you like, I'll go from
Wow.
162.8 to if you go to a restaurant and eat a high sodium meal, you can gain 2.5, 3 pounds overnight of sodium, like water retention.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
if they see that, then like you didn't gain 2.5 pounds of fat overnight or in 1 week for that matter. A
Yeah.
lot of it's so if they only weigh themselves once a week, they could go from 160 one time to a week later. If they had a heavy meal or a sodium meal the night before, they could be 3 pounds heavier and they're going to
Yeah.
freak out thinking they gained 3 pounds in a week. That's not possible.
Mm.
So it's about
Wow.
educating them on why the scale is
Yeah.
going up or down. And every single one of my clients has a healthy relationship with the scale now because I've talked
Mm.
to them and addressed that with them. And
Okay.
even if they're a little wigged out about stepping on the scale, which is understandable, they also understand it's a process.
Yeah.
And yes, it's disappointing when you step on the scale and it hasn't gone down, but realistically, it's just kind of dependent on what you eat, how much water you drink, and how well your sleep is.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
I like I told you, I'm just that the way you answered that because there's that's a thing. People get like it's a mental game. And the way you clarify that where it's like, hey, almost like confronting it, confront the scale. Don't be afraid of it. That's
Yeah.
another weapon, I think, everybody, whether it's youngers or maybe some of the middle-aged people that we talk to and work with, because they're going through that too. Oh, I'm not going to diet. What's it going to matter? I'm just going to gain that weight anyway or whatever. It affects everybody at every level. That nutrition thing we keep coming back to, Coach, that again, we're just so enthralled by what you're doing. It's clear to
Yeah.
see that it's working from the youngers to the olders. I'm beyond speechless. Dane, can you help me out here? Because I'm speechless, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much in that same boat. I mean, you can't say it enough. I mean, like you said, whenever you were talking, water and rest, those things are just as important as eat what you eat. Can you talk a little bit about that? How much rest and water one should have
Yeah.
with kind of maybe incorporating into their diet and their day? Because I know a lot of times whenever you work, you don't think about, oh, okay, I need to get hydrated. How important is that to, your fitness goals?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, water. Your body, in the morning, I have a bunch of water before I have my coffee, just because you want to flush out, get it going through your organs. Plus, you haven't probably had anything to drink for like 8 or 10 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to kind of get things going. But I generally drink a gallon of water a day.
Yeah.
If I'm retaining water for whatever reason, what's going on in my life, stress, whatever, my coach will have me drink an extra 1 to 2 liters a day. So there's days where I get like a gallon and a half of water. A lot of my clients, especially if they're trying to lose weight or shave off that extra little bit, my clients will drink anywhere between a gallon and a half to 2 gallons of water if they're trying, because they understand the value, because they can see it on the scale. It reflects on the scale very quickly because you're flopping along.
Really? I've
Yeah.
heard people, Dane, I've heard the opposite. So I'm glad you're speaking to that because I've had people say, oh, I got to cut my water intake down because I'm bloated and I'm holding on to it. And you're speaking about the facts of it is sometimes what people think is not reality, right? So, oh, I need to drink less water. You're saying, no, amp it up. That retention that you're doing, the stress, the salt intake. Wow. I lost track of where we're going with that, but I had to expand on that because it's powerful, you know?
There is a certain point in time, like if somebody's training for a bodybuilding competition and they have a competition coming up, they might completely cut out their water to shrink.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother, from a human being day-to-day standpoint, getting the extra water. And then the sleep, if you don't sleep well, your body's not recovering and it can elevate your cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So if like a couple of weeks ago, I told my coach, I'm like, my cortisol is elevated. I'm waking up for a couple hours in the middle of the night. I wake up bloated. My shorts are tight. I can't sleep. my head's on a swivel because I just moved. So I've been in the process of
Mhm.
buying a condo and dealing with all of that stuff. And he's like, okay, take a deload week, no workouts for a week. And we're going to, you know, drink an extra 1 to 2 liters of water a day just to
Mhm.
just get yourself back on track. That shows you on a side
Wow.
note how more important it is to rest than it is to keep lifting.
Mm.
You don't need to
Wow.
be working out that hard. Your body needs a break. And so, especially if it's in a calorie deficit, but
Right.
you know, that's why sleep is really important. That's where your body doesn't build muscle in the gym. It builds muscle outside of the gym.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
Again, Dane, is it very often, so we don't get speeches very often. So I made about 2 pages of notes, coach. I'm going back and I'm going to probably play this again and again and again because I'm hearing what you're saying and it's like bringing new light to this. This is one of the reasons why
Yeah.
we had to have you on because you're bringing kind of some myth busting things to people's mindset. Oh, I'm stressed out, so I got to work out more. Reverse effect. Oh, I'm not sleeping well. Got to cut my water back. Oh, I'm getting on this. And the way that we approach the topic of fitness for a long time has been incorrect. So I love to see the testimonials and what you're doing and how you're almost taking it and confronting the fear. I'm confronting the
Yeah.
fear of working out,
Yeah.
confronting the fear of eating right because I can't do it, and just taking it one step at a time. So,
Yeah.
Coach, I know, again, as we're interviewing you, you're at the gym, you're at your studio at the gym, always busy, but finding a way to put your health first and still chase your
Yeah.
dreams. As I told you at the beginning, and as us communicating over the past couple of days, you're what we inspire to be on this show. The next generation of athletes and leaders is in good hands with people like you. So I would
Yeah.
ask you, don't be a stranger. Let's make sure this is the first of many as the brand continues to evolve for you.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we have you back on sometime in the future and stay in touch if you don't mind. Okay.
Absolutely.
I would love that. And I know we kind of talked about in texting back and forth, just kind of giving people some
Yeah.
advice. And I think the one thing I want people to truly understand and take away from this is we're talking about eating less. The less you eat, the slower your metabolism is going to be.
Right. Right.
So if your basal metabolic rate is what you need just to exist. So mine is about 1450. So let's say 1500. I need 1500 calories just to exist. So if I only eat 1500 calories in a day, that's going to slow down my output.
Yeah.
So after about 6 weeks, I'm no longer burning that 1500 calories at rest and just existing. It slows down. So you have to eat less and less and less to see weight loss results. That's why I get people to eat more and more and more because their metabolism is slow. So you have to start eating more to raise your metabolism and get yourself to a place of kind of resetting that.
Mm.
I'm just processing the whole dynamic shift of how we look at fitness. I don't even want to say weight loss, but nutrition and fitness, and it is just mind blowing. We have to have you back for more because there's no way to even unpack all that one episode. That's about a 4 or 5 part series right there. I need you to
There
just
you go.
teach, So it's a done deal, Coach. We're gonna have you come back. There's no question. So again, I do want to say thank you on this
Yeah,
busy weekend. I know
absolutely.
it's Father's Day. You mentioned pops and all that. With the gym, congratulations on the move and the continued evolution of the brand.
Yeah.
Coach, again, thank you with all my heart. We'll be very quick to get this out and produced, have it out for the world to hear.
Yeah.
On behalf of Dane and I, we just can't say enough. And the listeners,
Yeah.
thank you for taking time to do this. And let's make sure we do this again very soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
It was my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Coach. Much love and have a great
Thank you.
weekend. And thanks for your wisdom and your time. So
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you, Coach.
Thank
So
you,
Dane,
Coach.
that's Coach Sarina, dude. She's a legend, man. What'd you think of her? Wasn't that awesome?
Oh, yeah, like they say, an encyclopedia of knowledge. I mean, you open one part of it and then you see what's in there and you just want to step right in and ask many questions. So return trip is inevitable, we hope.
I'm hearing because I really did, man, because we've been enthralled by this topic, man. Anna
Yeah.
Woods from She Strength got us on that topic and really
Yeah.
helped us see the mindset. And this topic of like doing things wrongly that causes more damage. When she was talking about the cortisol and the stress thing of like, oh man, I had a bad day, so I got to go do a longer workout. That's almost a reverse effect on your body. When she's talking
Yeah.
about the deload, maintain your metabolism, up your metabolism so your body will trick itself. It's like shock therapy to your system. These little nuggets of what she's saying. If I'm eating 1,500 calories, let me up it to say 1,700, 1,800. I don't want to block what she's saying, but there's these little tips and tricks. It's almost like you're tricking your body into doing what you want it to do.
Yeah. And what amazes me, I came in wanting to get some information about, some of the younger athletes. but I ended up learning probably just as much as they did today.
Wow.
And what also struck me was, she gives all the advice and all the knowledge to her clients, but she has a coach as well that helps her along. So that thirst for knowledge should never stop, no matter what age you are and how much you think you know. So that's another a great thing to grow your brand as well. Be willing to take that advice and build on it.
She practices what she preaches, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I love Coach Sarina. That was a legendary thing for us to get that opportunity. So man, we will make that a recurring thing. We'll have her back on again as soon as we can. Guys, Eat Fitness. I'll make sure I put the links to her socials out there. You can catch her on Instagram, Coach Sarina. She's also on Facebook and pretty much any digital platform these days. Eat Fitness is the brand. It's a lifestyle, not a diet. I've very clearly speak on that. So this is something that you really want to kind of sink your teeth into. Literally, I've had to change the way you look at things. And she made it very clear. I like how she was real too. That doesn't mean you're perfect. She even mentioned the French fry thing. Even an elite athlete like herself still has some French fries on top of her game. So it's okay to still be human, but have those goals. The journey of life and fitness is not one path, and there's many ways to get there. So that was awesome. Well, you guys, we'll be calling some games this weekend. We've got Zuki next Monday. I can't wait. Zuki from Starset. If you haven't listened to Starset, kind of a Breaking Benjamin, kind of a metal band. Zuki's one of their recurring members, having her on next week. They got a lot more content to come over the next week or so. I don't want to spill the beans too much, but some good stuff. But on behalf of Coach Sarina, Dane, and Josh, don't forget, as always, that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.